Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Velvet Talks. I'm I'm the host Mitchell.
And I am Josh, back for another Velvet Talk.
So today we're going to be talking about I'm going to be talking about the first episode, but you kind of watched the entire series of this Pong, the animation.
Yeah, certainly a great title, isn't it?
Pong, the animation. Coming into this, I didn't really know too much about it. I saw the art style maybe once or twice from just random GIFs you sent me. It looked interesting, but I never had the time to watch it. So, what about you? What's your experience with this?
Right off the bat, I'll have to say I'm a big fan of this series. I just enjoy, the entire package quite a lot. I'm a big fan of its unconventional art. Its soundtrack is really great, and I have to say that even though it looks super unconventional, it does have a really conventionally good sports story to it, which I am not a really big fan of sports anime and manga in general, but this one I think has a really strong showing.
Probably should mention that before we go in. And sports anime are kind of a weird subject for me because it's I don't particularly enjoy that many of them. I tried watching one or two, it just doesn't work for me. But recently I was told that just don't look at it like a sports anime, just look at it like an anime that happens to revolve around sports. So I'll have to that in mind, I did enjoy this episode a lot. The basic premise of the first episode is that you're introduced to the characters Peiko and Smile, who are kind of the big shots of their high school team.
Yeah, it's like one of those smaller teams from a school that's not really known for table tennis, and they just sort of go to the school and are part of it. Maybe not super excited to be there though.
Yeah, in the very beginning of the episode, Peiko just kind of isn't even there. He's at a parlor somewhere playing with some dude who's played for 10 years or something like that and just kicking his ass. And eventually, as the episode continues, you find out a little bit more about these characters. They've known each other for a very long period of time. They're very old friends. And eventually, they hear that China, not the team, apparently just
not the country,
the country of China,
the entire country of China has come to Japan. Oh no, they're invading table tennis. What?
Something about the way that it was subtitled was weird because they're oh, it's China, not it's the Chinese team.
Well, I think it speaks to a certain Japanese sort of it's a casual xenophobia where they. I don't. They participate in casual racism.
I don't look at someone and it's or I don't look even. It's it's Korea.
Well, it's the Japanese are really comfortable with sort of
that race. Yeah.
They speak in terms that aren't necessarily PC for us.
So, but the point is, so they go to try to see this Chinese team play,
or a single player.
Oh yeah.
It's this player is from one of the better teams in China and seems to be in exile for some reason or another to Japan.
And they play around. Peiko, specifically it's Peiko and a Wedge. The Wedge is the name of the Chinese player. Or it's not his name.
It's like Kong Wenge or something.
God, why do I think it's Wedge? Who's Wedge?
No, it's spelled similarly.
Okay. I'm sorry. So the point is the Chinese player and Peiko fight against each other, and of course, they're worlds apart. They're just crazy worlds apart, and the episode pretty much ends with this idea that we will probably see the Chinese players again, and we'll probably it will probably go through their development. And they just got slammed from heaven essentially. Both Peiko and Smile in their own ways got slammed.
Well, it suggested that Smile, is losing to Peiko on purpose too in that episode. So it's something where we haven't really seen Smile go at it in this series yet.
Okay. You know, as far as sports anime go, I like I said before, I'm not really into them as much. The characters in this were interesting. Like you mentioned that this series is a little old. Like the anime is relatively newer, but the material it's based off of is older.
Like, don't exactly quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that the source material was like a manga of like the same name. You know, Ping Pong the manga.
Ping Pong, the light novel.
I'm pretty sure it came out fairly long ago. Like. Okay. Something where long enough ago that might actually be fairly dated if you like did a direct like transliteration into anime.
Because the reason I mention this is because the one of the characters is playing on a handheld, and at first I thought it was a GBA, and I guess it looked way too simple to be a GPA or a GBA. So I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a little detail that I noticed, or
yeah, it looks like one of those older like pre-Nintendo like handheld gaming consoles.
And no one has a cell phone, and no one I mean it just doesn't look like it takes place. It looks like more like it takes place in like the 90s sort of.
Yeah.
But
90s early 2000s ish.
And I have to admit, I guess like the first thing because I feel like this is the elephant in the room when it comes to this series, like just from the first episode, is like the art style.
It looks very different from anything else.
It is not traditional. It's not the traditional anime, and especially it is not anywhere in the last, I want to say 10 years, where you've seen this development in the last 10 years. This is a very different anime. And
it's about as different from like your typical anime art style as Aku no Hana, if you've heard about that series.
I'm trying to think of like a comparison.
Not in the same way though. Let's see.
You know what?
Like some of the weirder episodes of Space Dandy get to look like this.
Like it's that weird kind of
like
semi-realistic kind of look.
All the characters look like, you know, contour line drawings, if you remember that from like art class. where the teacher makes you sort of look at subject matter and like draw without looking at the paper.
Yeah, like it's
they have a similar character to them.
I like this. Like I know it sounds like, trust me, if you're interested, watch the first episode, guys, because it's one of those episodes that even if you're not into it, just check it out for the art style. But I definitely, I think it's super interesting. Like it's different, but it's super interesting. Like how the characters move, how all because it's like I think that would be a challenge to just kind of do this in the traditional, not traditional, but like in the modern style. I think it'd be a little harder to do an anime based on this subject material.
I think Ping Pong probably wouldn't work quite so well if it looked like, you know, say
like Free
Haikyuu or like Kuroko no Basket.
Yeah, and
it makes no attempt to hide that the characters are sort of geeks.
They're all nerds. There's this one guy with goddamn Alessi hair from JoJo's Part 3. Just look, he looks like, you know, or he almost looks like Krusty the Clown before he goes bald. Like just a little bit something like that, but
like none of the characters are like classically cool. Though, you know, Kong seems pretty damn like badass.
Oh dude, it was so okay. The minute this character comes out, the Chinese player comes out, I'm like, how are we going to be able to tell that he's a Chinese player? He has a little jacket on. His jacket's the little stars on the flag, and then he opens up his jacket. The camera pans up to his face, and I thought it was Levi from fucking Attack on Titan. Like Jesus Christ! Watch. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong, but the point is that this series, or the first episode, was definitely something that I thought was interesting. The overall feel of the episode, what did you think?
It's been a bit since I watched the first episode, but I think it grabs at a certain like reality of like, you know, sort of the like juvenile ennui of being like that age in high school, I guess. Like I identify a lot with like one of the main characters, Smile.
Oh yeah,
it should be obvious for anyone who knows me. That should be obvious. Yeah. It's something where I think I understand that character. I don't think I'm quite so great as that character is gonna be, but it's like it hit a certain note in me where I understood like where all of these characters sort of came from and thought, oh man, this is going to be an interesting ride. I haven't had very many characters in manga and anime recently that I could really like dig into and like, you know, associate myself with. You know, all your typical like, you know, harem protagonists, they're all non-characters anyways. Your typical shonen protagonists are going to be
balls to the walls, like crazy,
or you know, non-characters, one or the other.
So, Naruto or Sasuke, pick it. It's up to you. I'm gonna exterminate all the Titans. That's gonna be a thing.
Oh, I'll exterminate all the vampires.
God damn it. So, I mean, overall, I felt that the feel of the series is just it feels very. It's different. I really enjoy the fact that these characters are just a bunch of nerds, and they're literally just a bunch of nerds.
A bunch of nerds, like, you know, working their hearts out, just like be really, really good at table tennis.
And it's cool, to be honest with you. Like I was pleasantly surprised with this. So I feel like that. I mean, for as far as the first episode goes, I think that's pretty much as far as we can take this, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Anything you kind of want to say about the first episode? Kind of like anything like how about this? Anyone who's going into ping pong who might be interested now.
I would say if you pay attention to the first episode, a lot of stuff will come up and like sort of address like little ticks with characters eventually in the series. The series is fairly well self-contained, so you know the stuff that happens in the opening sequence, like the little character mannerisms, will like matter. Not a super whole ton for certain things that are really, really small, but certain small details will crop up here and there. It's a very consistent show in that regard.
As someone who only watched the first episode, I'm definitely gonna give it more of a watch. But just based on a first episode, it's definitely interesting. It definitely has that level of like something that just is. It's just something I haven't seen before, which is really nice.
One thing I remember or hadn't remembered though is that ping pong uses a lot of those like cross-screen cuts, where if you've ever seen like the original Hulk movie, where they sort of like split the screen up into like comic book panels, sort of.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that in this series, and usually it's to good effect. Sometimes it actually helps. Like you'll notice that they skimp a little bit on animation because I don't think this series got a whole lot of animation budget, but it helps with the kinesis of this series, like the kinetic feel of the series overall.
So that being said, guys, if you're interested in ping pong, go check it out. Or I should say ping pong the animation. Go check it out. We watched it on Funimation. I'm not 100% sure if it's on Crunchyroll, but yeah, give it a shot, guys. So, anyways, this has been another episode of the Velvet Talks, and we will catch you another time. So,
all right, see you guys later.
See ya.